So today's everyday life experience comes to you in the title of Who Has Access to Your Accounts? Write it down. Hope you have pen and paper. Remember, it's always important to have something to jot down the ideas and the messages that you get from not only me, but just from random things. I feel like journaling is so important and so underrated in your healing process because the one thing the enemy will do is make you forget. A lot of times I have to go back in my old journals and read the times where I've been in similar situations and then see the breakthrough come through multiple times. Because I'll get into these moments where it's like, darn, I feel down. How is this going to work? And I can't encourage myself. But if I go into my word and then I'll pull out my journal to start to write, and then something, Holy Spirit, will say, hey, read back the old ones. And I'll get to a particular point like, oh, I've already been through this. Or I reach out to a friend. I remove myself from the isolation and it's like, yeah, I went through this and this is what happened. And I'll go to that date in my journal and it just all comes together. So it's very important that you write your journey down. Or maybe if you're in a position where you don't have as much privacy, you're worried about people finding it, do voice notes, record yourself. Just get it out for the moment. And if you have to, delete it. That's fine too. So, title, Who Has Access to Your Accounts? For a very good long time, my mom and I go through phases where we go out every weekend just to shop. And it's just random things, not even things that we necessarily need, but we will just make it like a girls type day and we'll walk around the mall and buy small things here and there. The more we did this, the more I started to basically pay for things. And it's not because, my mom couldn't. It was just she's been in a position where she's done so much for everyone else around her. She's the one that people go to when they just really don't have it. And her heart is just that big, I guess. She will help you. She'll be the one that says, here, don't worry about it. Or, just pay it back later or something. So now that I'm in a better financial position, when we go out, I've just made it an intention for me that I'll pick up the tab. But both me and my mom are givers, so she doesn't know how to necessarily let me do that. So she'll try to pay a lot of the times, and I'll have to rush to the cash register and pay for her or something like that. So she thought she was smartening up, and she would use the credit card for the stores that she held onto. But see, the thing is, I'm a mini version of my mom. I know all her information. So we got to Macy's one day and she wanted to buy something, or I wanted to buy something. She's like, oh, you don't have the card, I do. So I just laughed. I'm like, okay, ha ha ha. And she's like, why are you laughing? She's like, because I'm gonna make the payment before you even get the bill at home. So why are we doing this little dance right here where you're trying to rush to pull out a card when I'm gonna pay for it anyway? And we laughed and it was cool. But it brought me to the message of who has access to your accounts. And when I say accounts, I'm talking about your mind, your body, your spirit, your will, your emotions. Who are you giving access to with these things? Are they trustworthy people? Do they deserve that type of access? Because there are going to be different types of people that you run into in life. There's going to be the people who want to pay the bill before you even put your hand in your bag, or they want to pay the bill before it's even printed out. And there's going to be other people who just completely forget the amount of work you've done to get to a position that you can do this. Or they forget that you sacrificed to be able to do this for you. And it's just, whether good intentions or bad intentions, they don't care. You are now left with this bill because it's under your name. So when you're giving access to people with certain things, with certain aspects of you, are they the right people to be giving that access to? Now, in terms of finances, we'll take it that, make it easy. Do you remember what your credit score was like maybe when you were like 18, 20? If you are 18, 20 and your credit score is great, kudos, you can still keep listening because this is for you too. But for those of us who had, I think mine was like low fives. After college, I did not know credit cards and all that. I did not have that type of literacy, financial literacy at all. And over time, with budgeting and learning about finances and credit cards, I've been able to pick myself up from that. But for a while, it was really bad. Like, I really needed the help. But the amount of work I've done to think that I would give access to someone who would just completely destroy that, that sounds wild. Like if I see someone's track record and I know that they're not necessarily the best person to have access to this, why would I give them access to that? But that's the same thing that you do when you allow someone either into your space, into your home, into a relationship with you, and you know that they haven't done the work to heal themselves. And you think, well, maybe I'm at a point where I don't even know if I have that. Okay, money is one thing that's tangible. I can understand that. But how do I build credit in my everyday life? So building credit is building faith. That's budget making, a conscious decision where your money goes to a finance plan or a finance goal that you've created. This is your faith. Am I reading my word? Am I in a faith-based church or a biblical based church where they're teaching the word of God? Do I have the right relationships around me? How are you building your faith? Because that's the same thing as building your credit. If you are at level 1 and you're not sure, are you around the people who have done the walk? Because that's what I had to do. I had to get around people who have kind of mastered their own finances, and you're allowing them to teach you. I didn't know how to fast. I'm way better at it now. But when I first saw the messages of fasting in the Bible, I was like, I feel like this would be a good part of my walk. So I stumbled upon the Daniel fast. I created my own Daniel fast. It wasn't the way the Bible says it all, or the way you've read about it on Pinterest. I decided that on weekends I would be able to drink juice or wine if I'm celebrating something with a friend. I would still eat fish, not necessarily meat, if I was out with a friend or something. I just created my own rules. But then I got with a friend who I knew was really deep or further along in her walk with God than I was, and she was like, no, that's not how we do that. And we created a bond over that. And every Wednesday we would fast it started off with 12 hours where I would leave food out completely and I would still be drinking water and ice. And that lasted for a while until we kind of was having a conversation, and she was like, actually, my credit has gone up. The credit line of increase went up. I don't drink and I don't eat. I was like, ooh. I'm like, am I ready for something like that? Like, I wasn't sure, but because I'm around this person, right, I now want to level up too. Which is why your community and the people that you're around are so important. If you are the smartest person in your group, the strongest person in your group, and you have goals that you have not yet attained or you're trying to attain, you need to get up out of that group. You need people that will force you or challenge you to do more than what you're doing. So I took out water and ice. And when I tell you the headaches, the attitude, I was just over it. And that was 12 hours. 7 to 7 used to hit on Wednesdays. But the more you do it, the more your body gets accustomed. You find things to put in. I really got deeper into my word. I really got into sermons. I really was more intent with the patients that were in front of me because I didn't want to think about the fact that I could not eat or drink anything. And my faith increased because I was in my word and I was trying to figure out, what did these people do? Because there's no way you telling me you didn't eat or drink and that was it. What were you trying to get from God that allowed you to build your faith to this? And so by doing this, I was also building my faith. I'm building my credit. And I moved up. So now my score is getting better, right? What do I do to keep the score getting better? You repeat. This is repetition. You're not going to do it just one time and think things are going to be good. I believe there's a saying that goes like, anybody who's been a millionaire, billionaire, and loses it all will be a millionaire or billionaire all over again, because it's a mindset. I know the steps that I have to take in order to rebuild this or make sure that it stays in place. And it's the same thing with our faith when it comes to battles. We're going to continue to pray. We're going to continue to fast. We're going to continue to be in our word. We're going to continue to go to therapy. It's not one session and, oh my gosh, they didn't understand me at all. Okay, you got maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It took you how many years or how many months to create this issue, and you're expecting the person sitting in front of you to get it just like that and give you the exact tool that you need so that you can go out of this 1 hour session and completely conquer life. Come on, let's be serious. No, you're gonna keep coming back. It's gonna be a weekly thing or whatever the schedule is that you and your therapist creates. And one day you're gonna work on this, and the next week you may need to work on something else, because life doesn't stop. This is why the repetition is so important. Life doesn't say, oh my gosh, I see that you're dealing with this. I'm going to put a pause on these battles. It's going to be nothing but great times during this moment so that way you can heal with this. No, we're still going to get hit with other things. So 1 week it might be this, second week might be the same thing, but the third week you come in and something else happened at the job. Something else happened in your marriage. Something else happened with this kid. And that's what we're going to have to focus on. So keep the repetition. It's going to be the foundational. The foundation is going to be the same. We're still going to work through how are you showing up? What was your mood? Is this triggering something that we need to address? Because once we get the foundation good, it's just repetition. We're maintaining the score. So now you've done the work. You figured out how to fast correctly. You figured out how to create the budget and maintain your score the correct way. You're repeating these things. You're praying every day. You're going to therapy. You're taking your medication. And please don't shy away from medication. Like, I understand. I used to be kind of there too. Mind you, I'm a prescriber. And I was like, oh, you don't ever need medication. You just need to be in therapy and you just got to pray. Hopefully, as you grow, as you grow up, you also learn new things. And I realized that's not the case. There's certain things that are real chemical imbalances within us that you need the medication to help you stabilize as you work through this. Because it's not a cure-all. It's not just going to be, I'm going to pop a pill and that's it. It may feel that way. You may feel good, but really what's happening is either your situation is getting better during that time frame. You are talking through in therapy and building coping skills that help you see things differently. Or it can just be the person, the group, whatever it is, they kind of dissipate. They're no longer around. So yeah, your environment changes. So it's not just the medication. Just putting out there. But if you need it, please feel free to ask. Speak to a provider who will listen to you. When I first was dealing with depression, I didn't realize that psychiatry is kind of different from just therapy. And I went to someone and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to tell them what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. They're going to listen. Because that's what I really wanted. I wanted somebody to listen, to just finally get all of this out because it was just weighing on me too much. And so I go and I sit in front of her. And when I kid you, no lie, like within 5 minutes, my homie had a prescription pad out and she was writing me a prescription for Wellbutrin. You don't know if I have a brother. You don't know how long this has been happening, what triggered it. All she heard was sadness, low motivation, some anxiety, lack of sleep, things like that. And she was ready to write me a prescription. Again, not to say Wellbutrin wouldn't have been a great help, but listen to me. You want the person that's going to listen because sometimes you don't even need the medication. So when I say I don't want to put a Band-Aid on a machete cut, that's what I'm talking about. Because some people will come in, they just want the pill. And then they don't do the extra work that it takes to heal. You shouldn't be on certain medications for the rest of your life. Narcotics such as Xanax, Klonopin, things like that, those are made for short-term periods of time. Now, of course, if you're on it for a prolonged time, I really hope you're with the right provider and they're assessing this as you go along. But it shouldn't just be a pill. Complete side note that took way too long. You've done the work, you've maintained your score, you're repeating. Now you need to ask yourself, who has access to this account? That I have worked tirelessly. I was on ground zero. And now I've worked my way up. I'm doing good. I'm a blessing to myself and I'm a blessing to others. But does this person need to be blessed with this? Because when you give them the access to that account, that's it. Everything's still under your name. You still have to account for it. You just now have another responsibility because of this person. Are they going to basically spit on this blessing, or are they going to multiply it? Take it to scripture. Let's go to the servants that were given the talents. I think one was given 1, one was given 2, one was given 5 or something like that. And the master gives it to them and was like, go out into the world, do what you're supposed to do with it, and he leaves. The one that was given 5 multiplied it. I forgot what he did, but he made it into 10. The one that was given 2 also multiplied it, gave back more. The one that was given 1 buried it in the sand and was like, listen, I know you got this through kind of shady means, so I didn't want to put it out and possibly lose it. I just left it. And the master got mad. He was like, you ungrateful person. You at least could have put it in the bank and let it get some type of interest. Instead, you buried in the dirt where no one knew about it, no one saw it. It's like I never gave you anything. So is the person you're giving it going to multiply this blessing, is going to actually help them to the point where they can be a blessing to someone else? Or are they going to bury this in the sand, act like it's nothing, it's non-existent, maybe bring you back down to ground zero, because they can completely ruin your credit, ruin your faith, ruin your perspectives on life? And then what? It's all under your name because you gave the wrong person the access to this account. So while I'm asking the title, well, I'm saying the title is who has access, it's really who did you give access to? Because they can't take something that you don't give. They can't hurt you if you don't let them in. If you see the red flags from the jump and you decide to continue, understand that you gave them access to this. Now, this is not a green flag for someone to come and hurt you just because you're trying to be a good person, or maybe you missed certain red flags. But it's also just a warning for you to know that I need to be cautious about continuing with this person. I need to be cautious about letting them know every single thing. We're not kids playing on the playground anymore where we're trying to make friends and I just want you to like me, or however it is your friendship started. We don't tell everyone everything when we first meet them. I have to see what you're about. What are your values? Like, maybe you're going to say something about something I feel strongly about, and I know this isn't where we need to go. Slowly. My mom didn't just up one day and gave me access to her accounts and all these things. No, I showed her that I am trustworthy, that I'm going to make payments. You're not going to have to deal with this. I'm not going to ruin this for you because I know how hard you've worked for this. And that's how you need to treat yourself. You worked hard to get to where you're at right now. Why should someone else have a say-so on bringing you down? Why should they have that type of access to you? Heck no. No. I don't care if it's a friend. I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's a church and pastoral leader. If they are bringing you down, if you've given them access and now they're using it against you to make you feel horrible, no, it's time to move on. I don't care what their title is or what their connection is, what blood relation it is. It's time to move on. It's time to set boundaries. Because maybe it doesn't have to be a full disconnect. That's, again, going to be between you and your therapist, what needs to happen in this season. Because I think we get so afraid of, oh my gosh, you're going to be so mad they'll never speak to me again. It might just be in this season. And then when God has healed you, you've gotten stronger, you've set the foundation, it's on repeat, it's on auto, I can invite you into this, but with limits. Did you know that you can add people onto your credit to help them with their score and not even give them a card? That's a boundary. And then there are people you can get put onto your credit to help them with their credit and actually give them a card because you've trusted them. They've showed you that you can trust me with this access and I'm not going to bring you down. So you have to assess which is which. Who is this person? Who are these people in your life? Are they the ones you can just put their names on the card and not let them know? Or are they the ones you can give that second card to? You have to take inventory of what access you're giving. I truly hope that this message spoke to you if you're currently working through the season, or maybe you know somebody that has issues giving access to everything, to everyone, and you need to share this message. Please do so. Tell them to subscribe and make sure you're subscribed so that way you don't miss out on any more of these messages, any more of these encouragements. So remember to trust your process. Trust God with this process. Healing is never canceled, and your mental health is always wealth. Thank you for joining.